Hey, can you turn your music down, please? Because I'm having a really hard time.
Whatever.
The character of Venom has always struggled to be accepted on the big screen, from his first encounter with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to today. Welcome to ScreenRant. With Venom: The Last Dance being Tom Hardy's farewell to the role, we're taking a look at what the world is saying about it. If you are someone who waits for reviews before you choose to watch something, you will have seen that many critics have been anything but kind to Venom's swan song. So, what's with all the negativity? Right off the bat, Venom: The Last Dance has been labeled as a messy addition to the Marvel-Sony universe. Critics across platforms like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb give a few recurring reasons why they think this movie missed the mark. And if you've looked at Reddit or Twitter, fans are sharing many of the same frustrations. Flaws such as the movie's pace, uneven storyline, and an overabundance of CGI are all elements that have been mentioned. Pacing seems to be one of the biggest complaints, with many viewers feeling like the movie couldn't quite find its rhythm. It has been criticized for feeling disjointed, which makes the momentum of the plot stutter and stumble. This can lead to some audiences losing focus and struggling to stay invested. Another big complaint? The tone. The first two Venom movies played with a mix of humor, horror, and action. This time, critics feel like it leans way too hard on goofiness, pulling back from the darker elements that worked so well in previous films. From the early scene of Eddie and Venom doing some forced "we are Venom" misstep statement, to the stereotypical hippie types certain that the truth is out there. The edgier sections of the movie seem to be sidelined, with only perilous moments really coming at the expense of Strickland's team. And whether it was a satirical nod to the cringeworthy Peter Parker boogie from Spider-Man 3 or not, there was no need for that dance with Mrs. Chen to go on so long. And that brings us to the CGI and special effects. Fans have pointed out that CGI has been far too heavily relied upon in some scenes. Instead of seamless symbiote action, some scenes come across as clunky or visually overwhelming, with too much happening on screen. Some reviewers describe the visuals as messy and disappointing. Also, we can't ignore the villain issue. The idea that someone as dangerous as Null, a god of darkness, is brought in for a trilogy finale feels somewhat odd, especially as Venom's storylines have been more localized threats, which can be easily managed overall. But what makes it more confusing is that he literally does nothing. His plan is foiled pretty easily. The threat level is kept to Area 51, and the xenophages only seem to be violent towards those who initiate the attacks or get in the way of retrieving Venom's codex. Again, a lack of perceived stakes, seeing as Venom can hide the codex by not fully transforming, makes some audiences question the point of the story at all. But can a story just be a story? The most basic bottom line purpose for filmic entertainment is that a movie is created for escapism. Somewhere along the way, people have forgotten that not every single movie needs to be absolutely mind-blowing for you to enjoy it. Negative reviews often stem from high expectations, and with Marvel, those expectations are sky high. But Venom has always been a different kind of Marvel movie, right? It's a little weirder, campier, and less polished, and that's intentional. So let's take a moment to stand back and consider that maybe, just maybe, the reviews are too harsh. Marvel may have also shot themselves in the foot with their first 10-year movie success. Showrunners and heads of departments at Marvel Studios have admitted to oversaturating the market with TV shows and movies of late, which has caused superhero fatigue as well as raising people's expectations of consistent blockbusters. Marvel fans are known to be among some of the most passionate, and they demand top-tier storytelling. But is it possible that these expectations are setting movies up for failure? With over a decade of interconnected, character-driven storytelling from Marvel Studios, fans are now used to narratives that weave seamlessly across films. But Venom was never meant to fit that box, nor was it ever marketed to. Sony's Eddie and Venom don't even live in a universe that has any known supes, not even, at present, a Spider-Man. So, although the Marvel logo is on the movie, audiences should perhaps just accept that this is a separate story in its own right. So when critics come down hard on the tone or pacing, it's worth remembering that this isn't Spider-Man or the Avengers. It's supposed to be messy and raw. In fact, fans on Reddit argue that it's the chaotic unpredictability and edge that make Venom movies so entertaining. So, are critics just expecting another polished Marvel movie and missing what makes Venom different? There is also the argument for the use of CGI within the movie. Yes, we are tired of its overuse, but it becomes somewhat inevitable with a story about intergalactic symbiotes. They are massive, fluid alien creatures who change depending on their host. Fans wanting smooth, polished CGI may be overlooking the inherent difficulty of bringing a character like Venom to life in a way that balances his monstrous look with realism. While the visuals may not always hit the mark, the ambition behind these effects is worth noting. Despite the massively mixed reviews, there are still a great deal in Venom: The Last Dance to enjoy, and things even the critics have noted as positives. The first is Tom Hardy's performance. Hardy is a consistently great actor, putting his entire energy into any role he has. His portrayal of Eddie Brock and Venom has been a huge part of the franchise's appeal. He's fully committed to capturing both characters without diminishing the other. Eddie's dry wit and Venom's chaotic, sometimes childlike personality are completely separate entities, and Hardy's dual performance is an impressive feat. His ability to seamlessly switch between the two is praised even by those who dislike the movie as a whole. His performance alone brings depth and energy to a script that, by most accounts, would fall flat without him. Another strength is the movie's exploration of the bond between Eddie and Venom. The Last Dance really delves into Eddie's relationship with Venom as more than just a symbiotic arrangement. This movie digs into what it means to rely on someone else so completely, even if that someone is a destructive alien entity. For fans of complex character dynamics, this deepened relationship is a standout element. Even if the execution is a little rough, the emotional core of the movie is one of its strengths. The film also offers fans a sense of closure, as the supposed final installment of the Venom series, The Last Dance, attempts to give Eddie and Venom a fitting conclusion. We see growth in their relationship, a culmination of everything they've been through together, and a chance for Eddie to come to terms with his symbiotic partner. It's an emotional wrap-up that fans who've stuck with the franchise can appreciate, and even though the execution isn't flawless, the intent to give these characters a satisfying ending is clear. And let's not forget, Venom's DNA shares a hive mind across universes and takes on personality traits and memories from his hosts. As he has been shedding in both Eddie's world and Earth-616, there is scope to build on both his anti-hero and outright malicious variants from the comics, and see the personality struggles within. Finally, Venom: The Last Dance has to be appreciated as a risk-taker in the superhero genre. In a landscape dominated by perfectly polished heroes and predictable arcs, Venom stands out as a story willing to embrace the odd, uncomfortable, and occasionally chaotic. The film may not be what everyone wanted or expected, but its unique style and dark tone fill a niche that few other comic book movies occupy. Its distinctive identity, while divisive, is part of the film's appeal and the reason it has such a loyal fan base. In the end, Venom: The Last Dance isn't a perfect movie, but the harsh reviews seem unfair. Between high Marvel expectations, inevitable comparisons to the MCU, and some ambitious but flawed stylistic choices, it's easy to see how fans and critics could be divided. However, at its core, the movie stays true to what makes Venom unique: a darker, messier, and more unpredictable take on the superhero genre. So, if you're a fan of Venom, or you're just looking for something a bit different from the usual Marvel fare, The Last Dance might just surprise you. It's definitely not without its flaws, but for those not hung up on unattainable perfection, there's a lot to enjoy. And if nothing else, it's just 109 minutes of fun, campy, and action-packed escapism. And what's wrong with that? Let us know your thoughts. Do you think Venom: The Last Dance deserves the harsh reviews, or do you see some redeeming qualities? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights right here at ScreenRant.